In Carl Sagan's Cosmos television series, there is the episode called Blues for a Red Planet. In this episode, he discusses the history of believing there might be possible life on the planet Mars. Further into the episode, he discusses the Viking missions lander probes sent to Mars in the mid 1970s, with the two probes ending up finding no life in the Martian soil. What we need is a Martian probe that can travel across the Martian surface, says Sagan, and explore the more dangerous parts of the planet's surface that a Viking-like probe cannot go to. And finally, at the end of this episode, Sagan discusses that we will be the real Martians. The Martians will be us that have come to eventually colonize the planet. I believe that this very episode in his Cosmos series over 40 years ago is the very starting point that started a mindset in the United States of going back to Mars with the idea of colonizing and terraforming the red planet. With all eyes on the prize which has become the planet Mars, next to nobody talks about the planet Venus, let alone plans for human colonization of that planet. Realistically, Venus seems to be a much better option for colonization than Mars. For those who advocate the colonization of Venus, such as myself, we must realize that we have a barrier to break through of the fixation of going to Mars that is embedded in the collective consciousness of many people. Remember that what is in the collective consciousness is what will drive the direction of space policy. So what do we say? What are the words of advocation that we present to the general public and the scientific and monetary elites to first even want to hear our case, and second, to take seriously the attempt to colonize the planet Venus? So then, here we go in hearing our case. To start with, Venus is closer to Earth than Mars. Depending on the launch window to try and get to Venus, that makes a round trip anywhere from 30 to 50% shorter than a trip to Mars. This is of major importance for a manned trip. Shorter trips for a manned mission means dealing with less of a time factor being in a weightless environment, and dealing with less of a time factor being exposed to cosmic radiation. It also makes for less food, water, and fuel to carry, making for overall less of a costly mission in dollars needed to be spent. All these factors listed makes for a bigger advantage compared to a Mars mission in moving people and materials to colonize Venus. When we go to any planet, we will need to bring everything we can think of that will be needed. It's not just the trip itself. Venus is closer than the Sun than Mars, and that makes for 4 times more solar power that can be collected from the Sun than compared to Mars. Then there is Venus's atmosphere compared to Mars. The Martian atmosphere is very thin, with next to no protection from the Sun's harmful radiation. Venus's atmosphere is much thicker than Mars's atmosphere and would protect us from the Sun's harmful solar radiation. Also, the carbon dioxide levels in Venus's atmosphere is much greater in abundance than the carbon dioxide levels in Mars's atmosphere, where we can extract large amounts of oxygen from the Venusian CO2. One of the most important factors that a manned mission will be dealing with is gravity. On Mars, the gravity is 38% of Earth's gravity. On Venus, the gravity is 91% of Earth's gravity, making it a lot safer when it comes to degenerative bone and muscle growth issues within the human body that will be affected substantially trying to live on a Martian colony. Remember, we are talking about attempting a long-term colonization, not just a short visit. So back to the collective mindset of colonizing Mars, the tunnel vision, if you will. It's all about surfacism, a urban word that best describes the human need to plant one's feet and flag on a new surface that has been colonized. And for us humans, without a surface, it doesn't seem to officially count for much of anything otherwise. So what is the connection with Venus when it comes to surfacism? On Venus, we can't have a colony directly placed on the planet's surface because of the crushing atmosphere that is 92 times more than the Earth's, equivalent to being submerged in 3,000 feet of water without wearing any protective suit. Plus, the surface temperature on Venus is a constant 863.6 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt tin and lead. So knowing that we cannot directly colonize the surface of Venus, that surfacism we have to have when it comes to colonizing a new place is why Mars colonization, not Venus, is embedded in the collective consciousness of many people. But maybe it all makes sense. If we cannot colonize the surface of Venus, then why go there? Why bother in the first place? But let's hold on for a bit. Not so fast, as one would say. At 164,000 feet above the surface of Venus, the temperature is around 158 degrees Fahrenheit. Not much of a problem at all for a floating balloon type constructed colony that would float in the Venetian atmosphere. And the barometric pressure at this height in Venus's atmosphere is the same as Earth's. Humans could use protective clothing and oxygen masks in this environment and not expensively made spacesuits. With these constructed colony balloons that could be filled with helium or even just regular air that we breathe here on Earth, we could have no problem floating in the Venetian CO2 atmosphere. The 96.5% CO2 atmosphere content of Venus makes the constructed colony balloons filled with just regular air easier to stay afloat, practically indefinitely. Also, if there is a puncture or tear that should happen in one of the balloons, it's not an immediate safety concern based on the atmospheric pressure outside of the balloon will be the same as the atmospheric pressure inside of the balloon, making for more than enough time for any repairs to be done. Venus does have fast winds in its upper atmosphere that can send its clouds once around the planet in 4 days. Not being tethered alleviates any and all structural stress on the balloon colonies. So they simply could float going along with the Venetian winds circling the globe every 4 days. 2 days of daytime on the sunlit side of Venus and 2 days of darkness on the dark side of the planet. Not much of a problem at all to adapt and overcome, with many solutions at hand already to get a proper amount of sleep when time to do so. To finalize, when it comes to the issues of distance, supplies, gravity, solar radiation, atmospheric pressure, and most of all, the surfacism mindset and cost in dollars mindset, colonizing Venus should be seriously looked at as a better way to go when it comes to trying to colonize another nearby celestial body within our solar system.